Alrighty guys, this is part 2 of the overview of these two machines, the Hyundai HX145 LCR and the Volvo 140E. On this particular video, we're going to cover the operator station and the overall feel of the machine. All right, Tyler, it's round 2. It's operator station time. And there's a lot of differences before we even get in the cab. And there's a few things. There's one thing I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd ever measure on an excavator. We'll get to it in a minute. But first, one thing I want to point out that I've noticed, well, the way I operate, I am in and out of the machine a lot. It's the type of jobs I do. I very seldom sit in that seat for 8 hours straight. In the cab, out of the cab. And one thing I noticed on this Hyundai machine, and we'll measure it here and see what it is, but it seems to be considerably higher, like almost a step higher. And I think I know why it is. And even though it hurts me getting in the machine, I'll point out later where I think it's a big help. But we'll just see what the difference is. I'll let you hold the bottom half of it there. And on the Hyundai machine, let's call that 49 inches, Tyler. This machine's a little more difficult to measure because we got the rub rail on there. But we'll just go right in there. What do you think, 46?
Yeah, right at 46.
All right, now I done forgot what the other one was.
40. Take 2.
Take 2. All right, no, we're human, Tyler. We're going to prove to him you're human. Now, you remember what that one was? It's 40.
That looks like 47.
I think you're cheating me there.
I think, yeah. Got a big piece of
Look at that. Look at the Hyundai guy trying to make it look good. We're going to call that 50.
All right.
50 and 46. So that's 4 inches of difference. It don't sound like a lot, but a guy who climbs in and out of the machine a lot, it does make a little bit of a difference. And one other thing I'll mention, and I don't think it has everything to do with these rubber tracks, but the clearance between here and there, you can see, well, Tyler, we got a tape measure. Let's just measure it. So on this particular machine, that clearance is 2.5 inches. And on the Volvo, that clearance would be 5.5 inches.
Yeah, I'd say right.
Okay. So where this comes into play is a couple different scenarios. If you're doing demo work or working in rocky ground and a rock lands on this track, what, a 3-inch bigger rock's going to pass through that hole before it gets up into the pans on your bottom side of your machine. This one here, if you got a rock or something laying here, as soon as you start tracking, it's wedged in there. The other thing you'll notice is my boot does not fit in there. So whenever you go to climb in the machine, you have to go from that step to that step, and it can be a big step because them rubber tracks get a little slick. I don't know what the answer is for that, but I feel like we may need an in-between step there. All right, Tyler, this is one thing I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd measure on an excavator, and it's the size of the door. This Volvo door, we'll measure it here in a second, but I just want to talk about it for a minute. I would label it as borderline dangerous for a couple different reasons. It is massive and it is heavy. And if you're on a hillside and the thing comes around, there's not much you can do to stop it before it slams. And if you have your fingers in the wrong spot, it could be bad. And if you're on any type of hillside at all, even though they got this fancy handle on here, it is almost impossible to hinge that thing shut because it is so heavy and so massive. The other thing is it also limits where you can park and get out because it sticks out so far from the machine. And I don't understand quite why it's that large because this does not move. That door could be here and it wouldn't affect the access into the machine at all. So with all that being said, why not? Let's measure it. So the Volvo door is 44 inches.
All right, 44.
This is one of those where it's kind of like golf. You really do want the lower number here. 44 versus 30. I can even do that math. That's 14 inches. 14 inches of difference. So I can park 14 inches closer to stuff. But the big thing is, this door is much more manageable. I don't know what the weight is on it, but it probably weighs half as far as opening and closing. I know, guys, we're talking about a door on an excavator of all things, but it makes a big difference. It really does. Now, one other thing on the doors I do want to point out, and it's position of this handle. And for you guys that don't know, this handle, whenever the door goes back, it latches to the machine, so you can't pull it out. So the position of this handle on the Volvo, you can reach from the operator's seat or you can reach from the ground. You push it down, door closes. On the Hyundai machine, you can see this handle is considerably lower, and they got this bar right here. And even if you got the joystick down, it's very hard to reach through there and get that. You almost find yourself up out of the seat and reaching around. It's very easy to access from the ground, but it's a little difficult to access from the seat. If that thing was mounted more up here, that would be ideal. But both doors swing, latch, and seal up great. It's the size. One other thing I'll point out is just because this machine has a smaller door, this area to crawl in, where's my tape measure? We might as well measure this, Tyler. This area to crawl in is probably the same or even larger. So if we measure from there to there, that's 22 inches. In the Volvo, I do have the seat slid all the way back. And let's just go from right there, Tyler. Actually to the bar, which is what you always hit, is 18 inches. So this machine has a 14-inch larger door, and that machine has 2 more inches to get in and out. Now, this is the closed radius machine or compact radius machine. I'll get that right before this is over with. I've called it everything but the right thing, I think. On the straight 140s, this does not hinge up.
Correct.
And I think the door may be a few inches bigger, but if I remember right, that opening is the same or larger, yeah. Which makes getting in and out of the machine so much easier. I think it has something to do with the way I'm accustomed to getting in and out of the 120. I haven't had to change my habits to get in and out of this machine. I have had to change my habits to get in and out of this one. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. You just got to kind of approach it at a different angle. And if you got a hammer loop or something, it sure likes to catch on that thing right there. I possibly know from experience. All right, Tyler, we're leaving the ground. Let's head to the seat. You want to do that?
Let's do it.
All right, guys, so instead of hopping back and forth from machine to machine, we are in the Hyundai. We're going to go through this machine, a couple observations, I guess. The first thing, you set down in this machine, the thing you notice right off the bat is the visibility, 360 degrees. I don't know of another machine on the market to where you can look over your left shoulder and actually see over there. Most of them have a big hooding or a big cowl over there. And that may play in a little bit to this machine setting up that 4 or 5 inches higher than the other machines. But I'll climb that up an extra couple inches for that visibility. I mean, it's I've not been in another machine that's got that visibility, especially in a close radius or compact radius machine. That's pretty nice. And it's the visibility 360 is top notch in this machine. A couple other just random things that don't seem like a big deal, but they are. Key switch location. In the Volvo, I'll point out, this key is located almost back here behind the seat. One, it's awkward to reach to start it, period. But two, this one here is right here where it's visible and easy to see. And even with it being a couple inches up off the ground, Tyler, you can stand down there on the ground, reach in and start this machine or shut it off. And I don't know how many times you'll be on a job site, jump out to go do something, you get sidetracked and take off, you can just reach up there and kill the machine. Or with the Volvo, you actually got to climb up in the machine and turn it off. So simple things like key switch location, they do make a difference in where they're at. That's my opinion. You guys may have a different opinion. Another thing is all the buttons I can see without going crazily turning my head. I guess that's the best way to describe that. The Volvo seems to have a lot more buttons back here behind you where you kind of got to fumble and look for them a little bit, especially the radio control. It is like way down here. We'll point that out in a little bit. But everything is, this is obviously attachments or things that this machine don't have, but everything is right here and easily accessible. The air conditioner control, I don't know if it's the best location. It's kind of like the Kubota. It's underneath the armrest, but it is here. It is visible. I prefer this control hands down over the Volvo control. The Volvo is integrated into the monitor, and me and that thing have arguments. We'll leave it at that. I prefer the old school air conditioner display. This works great. It's effective. I don't know why we need to change it or improve on it. So good job on that. Throttle knob, very simple right there. Got your, this is very important if you're doing YouTube. You gotta have a place to charge your cameras right there. Bluetooth and USB connection, headphones, phone, all right there. Easily accessible. Cup holder, Pepsi fits great. No complaints there. Yes, it's everything is very nicely laid out. One other thing I'll point out about the monitor, and I'll go in more in depth on this monitor, and Tyler, you may have to give us some pointers on this because I'm sure it does more than what I realize. But it is mounted higher and off to the left just a little bit more. It is very, very visible. It does not hurt visibility at all. The placement of that thing is spot on. The joysticks are considerably different between the two machines. I think Volvo has a couple different options, but this has got the proportioning slider on the top for the thumb, while the Volvo has the push buttons. I prefer, this is so much easier to use. I also like the size and the shape of it a lot better. It's just, it may be what I'm used to coming from the John Deere 120, but I prefer this. It's also, oh man, some people are going to think I'm weird for this, but the stick is longer, which means I have to move it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, that seems to give me better control. Okay. Maybe a little bit more leverage. It's more proportional, okay. I guess would be the best way. You know, you have to move it a little farther to get it to go faster, but I got more options, it seems like. A quick movement or a jerk. It also seems to allow me to operate a little bit smoother because you don't get into that rhythm of where you're jerking yourself real bad. Mm-hmm. So I do think that makes a difference for what it's worth. The other thing is the seat. Both machines have an air ride seat. One big difference is the Volvo has console mounted controls where the seat and the joysticks move together, and the Hyundai does not. You sit in this machine for a long period of time, you do notice that. I would not say it's a deal breaker for me, but it is a very noticeable difference. But I'll say let's fire up this display and show them what they got.
All right.
All right, guys, so a couple things real quick. I think Captain Kleeman pointed this out very well in his video he did, but this thing is probably the perfect marriage between old school and new school technology. That way, I think a new operator that's tech savvy can handle this thing in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. It's all touchscreen. And an old school operator that likes buttons, you also have that option down here. But the whole top half is touchscreen. Let me go back to the menu. One thing I love about this display is there is a lot of good information here, and it's displayed in a manner which is legible. That's one thing I struggle with on the Volvo a little bit. The other thing is, like I've already mentioned, is it is touchscreen. You can go into your different modes. All your monitoring is here. No faults. Doing good there, Hyundai. Good job. Manage. This is machine fuel rate information. Everything in here. I don't know what it is about the setup on this particular display, but it is very easy for me to use. I can find what I need without stumbling around. I have not had to pull the book out. I think I only had to text Tyler once to ask where something was at. So that says a whole lot. They even have where you can do different type of displays. You can switch over to this one. I personally preferred the other one. I've ran both. If you watched the very first video, it was on that display. The other thing I've learned is I texted Tyler. He was asking me how I thought the machine felt, and I was describing a few things that were different, and he gave me some settings to change, which made a huge difference. I would have to venture to say that this machine is probably more adjustable from the console than what the Volvo is. Now this little gadget right here, which is that water bubble, which is, there is a setting in here where you can calibrate the accuracy of that. But I thought that thing was a gimmick, and I thought it was cool when I first hopped into this machine. I used the heck out of that thing. That is one of the most useful features on this display. I'm to the point of where I may have to add something on that machine because I've got so used to using it. But so that's got a lot of your engine management and vehicle management stuff. Down here you can go into your different buttons. This is power, so it's like most machines, it's got three. This would be your economy mode, standard mode, power mode. This is for your attachments. Right now we go into work mode, we got the thumb on there. This is your user mode. So if you're a large company and you got, say this machine's running 2 shifts and you got a daytime operator and a nighttime operator, a night shift operator, he can set all of his preferences in there and then choose which user he wants to, or which user is in the machine, so everything's the way he likes it. Travel speed is just that travel speed. Auto idle stop buzzer, it's what it says it is. I don't think I need to explain that. And this here is a huge difference, is the camera. This camera here is actually usable. I do not know what the resolution is from one machine to the other. Do you know what the resolution is on this one? We'll put Tyler on the spot.
Not 100% sure. I know it's it looks just like my TV at home.
We will go with usable resolution. I don't know if that's a measurement, but this camera here I found myself using quite a bit. The one in the Volvo, and the Volvo even got a side mount camera. It's not quite clear enough. I trust it. I find myself second guessing myself a lot and using the meters as much as I use the camera. But I got pretty dependent on this camera. Yep, we didn't even see Tyler back there walking around and waving at us. So perfect. We'll go down here. All your lighting is right here on the display. All your windshield wiper operations. This is the mode that I used. We were down there in the creek setting the blocks. It did smooth it out. Cabin light and your horn cancel button. Again, I want you guys to notice that everything you need to operate this machine is within this little bitty square right here, because that is a big difference from one machine to the other. So that's what I've noticed. A few other things is the way the window operates. Both of them have the handles on here, and both of them have the sunscreen as well. This machine here does have the fold-up hatch, which I wish the Volvo did. I know it's an option on them. I do not have it, but this is almost a must for me. But one thing the Volvo does not have is a solid cover up here. They just have a sunscreen. And today, for example, I was running that machine and I about got roasted out of here. I couldn't hardly see because the sun was coming in because somebody forgot their sunglasses. So I do like that option as well. But that's the differences. Anything else you'd like to point out?
Yeah, one other thing too. So if you noticed when I was back behind the machine, this specific model doesn't have the all-around view monitoring that Hyundai does offer, but they do offer an option in which we can order for 360 degrees of basically just being able to see all around.
And we should point out that some of the things we're talking about is this machine, you know, the other machines have different options on them. Mm-hmm. So the point of these videos, again, is just things to look at to see what the machine you're looking at purchasing has. One last thing I want to hit on, Tyler, before we get out of here is the travel pedals. Whenever we get to the Volvo, I will have to admit the travel pedals in the Volvo are probably some of the most comfortable I've ever ran. But these come in as a really close second, and it has everything to do with the shape and these little pedestals on the side. One difference is the height. You got to move your heel to get on to the reverse. But going forward, these are probably equally as comfortable. Going in reverse, they're a little bit more awkward, but considerably better than my 120 and most machines I've been in. So,
what is your thought on just the overall cab space?
For a closed radius or a compact radius machine, I have no complaints about the cab space in here. I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'4". I can stretch out very comfortably in this machine. Like I said, getting in and out is good. I don't like climbing up the extra 4 inches, but I do like that I sit up higher in the machine. It really, really improves the visibility of the machine. The way they've got stuff engineered back here is a game changer as far as visibility. It's definitely a comfortable cab to sit in. I mean, I could spend 8 hours in here and not be mad about it. And I find myself sitting in this cab, I find myself either looking at the bucket or that display. I never find myself turning or hunting or looking for anything. Whenever I'm in the Volvo, and I'll point this out in a minute, even though the display's up here, I'm down here looking for the buttons to see what I'm doing up there. There seems to be a disconnect between the two. So I like whenever I sit here, I'm looking at that bucket or that display, which are both in the same sight line. It just makes it really, really comfortable to operate. All right, Tyler, we're gonna have to go to the other side.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, we have made it over to the other machine, and first off, I apologize for the cleanliness of both machines. They have both been out working. We are using them. So first off, when you sit down, there's a couple different things you notice. One, like I said, the console, the joysticks and the seat move together. On long days, I will have to say that makes a little bit of a difference. On the joystick, these are the buttons I was talking about versus the slider. with the slider, I can set my thumb on it and just rock it back and forth. With this, I actually find myself moving it. Not as fond of this setup as what I am on the Hyundai. These are the buttons display I was setting up with. They're not quite maybe as back as far as I described, but none of them from the seat except for these are in your sight line. You always find yourself moving over to try to see them. And here's the key location, which is way back here behind it. You are not going to reach that thing from the ground. Trust me, I have tried every way imaginable, and it just will not happen. One other thing Volvo has done, and it's got me in trouble a few times, they got a 4-position key switch. An accessory is the 2nd position. And it's caused a few dead batteries, I'm not gonna lie. So anyways, that's that. This is the radio controls. One other thing, and this is just kind of to point out, is this your throttle control? This is the windshield wiper. I have wore the windshield wiper out because I go to crank the throttle on, and it is not the throttle, it's the windshield wiper. I know in other models these are different, but if that switch was just a little different size, shape, or placement, it probably would have made a little bit of a difference. So your air conditioner controls are right there. Can anybody see them, make them out, or find them? Yeah, me neither. If you look real close, maybe you need a magnifying glass. See that little bitty thing right there? It says temperature. Yeah, that's your temperature up and down, and that's your auto. And I'm gonna go ahead and fire this monitor up, and I will show you. Uh-oh, we gotta turn the radio down. We'll get copyrighted. Show you guys here. So if you hold the auto button down, it'll bring up. Come on, come on. Okay, maybe it won't. Take 2. Hold the auto button down. Volvo? I'm talking to you. Okay, prime example. Me and this air conditioner don't get along. Maybe it's the select button. Nope, it's not the select button. Maybe it's this button. Ah, there we go. Yeah. Oh man, I tell you, I've been running this thing for 6 months, and me and this air conditioner have still not figured each other out. But you can go in here and you can actually go to manual mode. The problem is whenever you turn the machine off, it automatically goes back to auto mode. And this thing don't have a sun load sensor in it, so it's got a mind of its own. The air conditioning ductwork in this thing is top notch. I never count them. I hear there's 13 vents, but it I'm sure it's regulating the temperature it's set to. But that's sometimes you just want to set the fan to a certain temperature in a certain setting and let it run. It does allow you to do that, but you got to push a bunch of extra buttons to do it. Over there, I can just sit 64 degrees, fan on 1 bar, old school if you would, and go with it. The other thing is, this is kind of the disconnect I'm talking about. The display is mounted there, is over and down. It's not really in your eyesight at all, and all the buttons to operate the display are over here. So I find myself looking there to see what I'm doing, and then looking over here to find which button I need, and going back and forth, and it just disconnected is the best way I know to describe it. The other thing is the way things are displayed on here. Like this is your temperature down here. It's real small and hard to see. You cannot even see what that, I mean, once you run it for a while, you know what it is. But if you were a new operator and hopped in this machine, you'd have to come down here and do like that to almost see which one is. I have not found a way to change that to a different model. The other thing is, if you go to the camera, which the resolution on it is not near as good, it cuts off all the gauges up there. I'm not for sure what the deal is about that. So as far as the functions of what it'll do, you got a lot of the same things. Keep in mind it's not touchscreen, but I do not find this one quite as adjustable as what the Hyundai machine is. And there may be some, you can adjust a lot of the same things, but there's a few more things you can adjust on that one that you can't adjust on this one. All right, Tyler, one last thing I want to point out, as I mentioned in the other machine, was the shape of the travel pedals. This distance right here, just the shape and the position, I don't know what it is about it, but these are very, very comfortable to run. Those are a very close second. But I don't know what Volvo's got going on with their travel pedals, but they definitely got it figured out now. Alright guys, I'm going to jump in here real quick. I just want to hit on a few things that I missed. One is the visibility from the cab in the Volvo, and it honestly has excellent visibility. The biggest difference is basically the right sider looking over your right shoulder. You sit a little lower in the machine, so sitting over that right side is not quite as easy, and then you got the cowling back there for all the emission stuff, and you're not going to see over that, so you kind of find yourself more dependent on the cameras and the mirrors, where in the Hyundai you can look out there and kind of get an educated guess on how close you are to some things. The next thing is the sound level, the noise of the machine. I would not call the Hyundai noisy by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, it's quite a bit quieter than what I'm used to at the John Deere 120. But I will have to say the Volvo is extremely quiet. And if you pay attention in my videos, you can notice and pick up on that. The audio, as far as me speaking, is a lot clearer and a lot easier to hear because there's just not as much background noise. So I will have to give credit to the Volvo on how quiet it is. The last thing is I tried to find a way to set up examples of what I'd call cycle speed, or just show the overall speed of the machines and how they operate. And there was just too many variables involved to get a good reading on how they operate. So you guys are just going to have to take my word for what I feel from the seat. And the honest truth is both machines are very quick, both machines are very responsive. But with that said, they operate totally different. I refer to it as hydraulic timing. Boom versus stick speed and how much input it takes to make it happen. I find the Hyundai much more controllable for tedious quick style work. So like running grade on the bottom of a trench or something like that. It's much easier for me to control that bucket coming to me at grade. But if I was just flat sitting on a pile loading trucks, I think the Volvo may excel in that situation. So they operate totally different, but they both have their pros and cons. The Hyundai, for me, I would probably have to give a slight edge, and I think it may be a little bit biased just because I think it operates more similarly to the 120, which is what I'm used to. But the Volvo is no slouch. They're just, it's amazing the difference between the two of them. But like I said, I tried to come up with a fair, unbiased way, or a way to remove as many variables as I could, just to see what a cycle time was, or see which machine was faster than the other. And guys, there's not much difference. They're pretty much equals when it comes to that. The biggest difference is the sensitivity and the controllability of them. And I think that just comes down to preference of the operator. So hope that helps. Let's head back to Tyler and wrap this video up. Now, with all that being said, both machines are very comfortable to run. Both machines have a lot of options, and I would have no reservations about owning either machine. I mean, some excel in one over the other, but they are both very nice machines, very well built machines, very well thought out machines, and they both got a lot to offer. This is where you need to jump in and sell that machine over the other one. That's why I got you here.
Yeah, I mean
So I did such a good job of selling.
Yeah,
you're speechless.
Yeah, I really am. I really am. No, I hope that if anyone had any concerns about traditional versus compact radius machines, I hope that this helped, and also that hope that you
I learned a lot. It was very, we are all guilty of hearing things other people say and taking it as gospel.
Exactly.
And until you actually get your butt in the seat and operate it, you don't really know for sure. And we just wanted to point out some obvious difference. You guys got good information if you're trying to weigh one against the other. Honestly, for what I do, I think I could operate with either machine. This machine's got advantages in certain situations, and this machine's got advantages in certain situations. I would have been very pleased or happy with either one of them, based on the balance of that particular Hyundai machine. I don't know if they're all balanced that well, but that one there is impressive on how well it's balanced. So hopefully these videos helped answer some questions about how one machine performs versus the other. And even if you're not looking at a Volvo versus a Hyundai, the options we went through, a lot of these things you don't notice until you've already bought the machine and got it on the job site. So now you got a whole new list of things to look at while it's sitting there on the lot, if that makes sense. So guys, if we forgot something, or if there's something else you want an answer for, all you gotta do is comment down below. Tyler, somebody at Hyundai, they'll be more than happy to get with you, get any questions answered. If I can answer the question, I'll jump in and answer it in the heartbeat. Bottom line they're both good machines. it didn't matter which machine I purchased. If that machine had these options, I know for a fact I would have been happy with my purchase. I wouldn't have regretted it one bit. Again, huge thanks to Tyler, Rico Equipment, Hyundai for making this possible. Huge thanks to you guys for watching and interacting with the channel, because if you guys didn't do that, these guys wouldn't let me do this. And I'm a big kid. It's fun playing with new paint. I'm not gonna lie. So
this has been a good time.
It has been. Hopefully you guys found this informative. Hopefully we get to do this again in the future. Wink, wink.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what
Comment down below and see what we need to demo next. You know, we'll get these guys involved and see what we got. So, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Give these guys a huge thanks and some love in the comment section. I'll also post all the links to Hyundai's social media sites in the description. Go over and check out what Susan does. She posts daily. A lot of cool pictures from different job sites, new product coming out, and different things like that. And yeah, we'll wrap it up. We'll catch you guys on the next one.